It's Wednesday the 27th of May. I'm just going to have a look at some markets as requested on Twitter by some followers. First one is the dollar Swiss. Now, that's the weekly chart for the dollar Swiss, and I can't make any sense of that right now. So I'm going to go straight into the daily chart. This chart is a bit of a mess. We can say that the market has been in a downtrend for the last year, but of course we've had a very significant bounce back over the last 2 to 3 months, and this kind of confuses the picture really. There isn't a dominant trend there over the last 2 to 3 months that I would say we need to follow. So for me, the only thing that we can really do is look at the much shorter term chart, and that would actually be the 1 hour. The 1 hour, I only need to go back to sort of the beginning of April or maybe just the end of March, and it's all about trend lines. This is the only way I can really make any sense of this market, just by putting trend lines on there. The moving averages are not helping me at all in any of the time periods. The Fibonacci levels aren't really helping me at all either. So it has to be really just the trend lines, and they are holding. So from this, I can sort of ascertain that we've got resistance around the 97.30, 97.40 area, and then again this trend line around 97.50. So what I would be suggesting would be probably sell around the 97.30, 97.40 area and place your stop maybe above 97.55. Now if we get a breakout above 97.55, then things are looking a bit more positive. We can start to test the May high around 97.75. We've got these peaks just a little higher up here around 97.98 and what's this one, 98.02. Those would be the two targets if we were to break above 97.55. On the downside, these moving averages not really having a huge effect. Well, I suppose we have been pausing around there, but this wouldn't be enough for me to necessarily put a trade on. If I was short up around 97.30, 97.40, and we came down to this cluster of moving averages on the hourly chart, which is around just above, well, it's around 97.10, 97.00, then maybe I would be taking at least half the profit there. But the real support level for me is down here. We've got some trend lines coming in at around 96.50, 96.45. If this breaks, we can get down to 96.20, 96.15. But this is a pretty strong support level because it goes back fairly, compared to some of the other trend lines on this chart. It goes back a little bit further, goes back a couple of months. So I would take that quite seriously around that support level. I can't say any more than that because we're just not really doing much. I've been asked to look at cable, pound versus the US dollar. Ooh, this is a tricky one. Right. I've put the trend lines on here, as you can see, and they are holding. So today we have resistance around 123.50. What's the high for today? 123.53. Yesterday was 123.62. So that trend line is holding. It's only a sort of 2.5 months old or something, this trend line. So it would appear to me that if we make a decent break above, let's say 123 sort of 80, then we should be free to run up further. We've got a little high up here at 124.67 with a long upper candle wick, so there were obviously some sellers in there at that day. So we'd want to watch ourselves at around 124.60, 70. If we can get up through, what's the high of this one, 124.80. Yeah, let's say we get up through 124.90 again, then the market would be free, and we could start looking at what the 100-day moving average, which is around 125.90, will be a bit lower by the time we get there, of course. And then these peaks are obviously pretty strong resistance, 126.46, 120. Well, bear in mind that these were very strong because strong resistance because they were hitting the 200-day moving average, which seemed to do the job. I can't see any other reason why we held that level. So 126.60, 126.70 will be the big resistance level if we continue on. Now, if you want to try a short at around 123.53, if it bounces back there, obviously we've come away from it now, or if you are already short, this is looking good for you as we hold below 122.95, that little swing high up here. So that looks more negative. The obvious area to look for some profit taking would be around 121.80, 121.70, and you can see that worked on the last swing low. A break below there, we're looking for 120.80, 120.70, but the trend line is probably going to be just below 120.00, which is the real support level that you're looking for. Messy and not really convincing levels, but those are the ones that I would look out for. Right, Euro US dollar. Little bit, well, there's more of a trend here to follow for sure. We clearly are in a bear trend. Obviously things got pretty messy when the COVID thing had its impact on the stock markets and the dollar was all over the place. But disregarding that, we do certainly have more of a bear trend in the euro versus the US dollar. Bit more stable lately, so we'll have a look at that when we zoom in on the daily chart and the short-term chart. But for now, we've got the 50-day moving average at 110.50. Okay, 50 week. It's having some sort of impact because we haven't managed to quite get there, 110.30 this week. But for me, the big resistance level will be the fib level, 110.80, 110.90. That's the big resistance level, and it coincides quite nicely with this trend line, which goes back to right to the beginning of 2019. So I think that is a significant trend line, and I think that is a significant Fibonacci level. So that for me would be the key sell level at 110.80, 110.90. You probably want to have a stop above 111.20. You really want to give it some room because obviously this is a weekly chart and 20-30 pips isn't a big deal. Downside looks a bit messy, and I'm going to have to move into the shorter term time periods to check that out. Okay, so if we were lucky enough to sell up here just below the 111.00 area, you can see we're just trading in a sideways trend. So, okay, there are some levels to look for. Really just these peaks on the way down. 110.17, what's this? 109.90, and that coincides. Well, actually, no, the 100-day moving average blue line is a little bit lower now, just below 109.60. But these are all very minor levels, and they might work as targets for profit taking if you happen to get short up here. But for me, the main support will be this lower trend line down here at 108. Call it 108.30, 108.20 by the time we get there. The 50-day moving average is having a little bit of support recently, but I wouldn't count on that too much. So again, this is a bit messy with these sideways trends. You've got to be quite nimble. The market isn't going in either direction, certainly not for more than 3 days in a row, and quite often not for more than 2 days in a row, as you can see in this little cluster down here. So there's not really much opportunity for a swing trade. Okay, silver. Silver's the last one I've been asked to look at. I can see why I've been asked to look at all these markets. They're all so confusing. I'm guessing that you haven't got much of an idea what to do with them, and I certainly haven't. Gold's been very much easier to trade than silver, and there's no pattern here for me to even begin with, so I'm just going to move straight onto the daily chart. Now, daily chart has been a bit better. The Fibonacci levels have been working quite well for scalpers. We don't have the trend that we have in gold, the bull trend, that nice easy bull trend that we've had, although I think that's ended for the time being. But we do have some scalping levels now. The 1700 area is working quite well. So I've got that on my daily report, and we've been trading that. Then we've got the 1665 area, and that worked beautifully, let me see, at the end of last week. So that was a good level. We break below 1660 this week, then I think we should have little trouble in getting down to the 1630 area, and then we've got good support around 1615. So for me, again, this is really a scalping market. Nothing that I could suggest holding onto a trade for a few days or certainly not for a few weeks. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with that. But just trading in and out of these levels does seem to work. Okay, I'll leave it there. That's long enough covering those markets. We'll do this again next week. Please do visit my website, daytradeideas.co.uk, where you will see all the products that we have on offer. So you can subscribe to various different Forex, commodities and stock indices, and then you'll get your daily report, and there's lots more information on here. If you go to the menu, you can read about the online course that we've got, how to read our reports, and there's some free stuff on there as well. So please do take a look.